Welcome everybody to another I Just Want to Go Home on Parole episode of Lockdown 23 in 1. That's right, today we're going to witness a parole hearing coming from Utah. And today's video is coming from a YouTuber that some of y'all might know by the name of Mandu or Mando. And this is what he does. He specializes in parole board and court case hearings. If you want to check out his channel and content, I'll leave the original video linked in the description below. But the individual going for the parole hearing today is going to be a prime example of what happens in prison can definitely affect you when it comes down to parole time. Anyways, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you want to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today.
Okay, this is a decision hearing for Simon Scown, number 154632. Is that you, sir?
It is.
My name's Scott Manning. I'm a hearing officer with the Board of Pardons and Parole. I'll be conducting today. I'm going to be taking testimony from you. If you'd raise your right hand the best you can, I'll swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you provide today will be truthful and accurate?
I do.
Thank you. Did you receive at least 7 days written notice of today's hearing along with your blue disclosure packet?
I did.
So that's the new information, obviously, that the board will be considering. I'm just going to kind of give a procedural review, and then I'll ask you if there's anything in that disclosure you want to talk about. So the purpose of today's hearing is to discuss why your parole date was rescinded. It was rescinded, I believe, due to new disciplinaries. There is a criminal charge pending related to one of those incidents. I think an initial appearance, at least as of yesterday, was scheduled for a week from today, is what's happened. After today's hearing, the board will decide appropriate action. I imagine almost certainly that will be a paper review due to the criminal charges that are the criminal charge that is pending. We'll go over that in just a minute. But I would like to talk about the other new information outside that, so that when the board is presented with an opportunity to make a decision, they have the information available. So to the extent you're willing to do that, I'd like to. But did you receive, you said you received your blue disclosure packet as well?
I did.
All right, so like you just heard, this guy is pretty much going to take what he has to say to the parole board. And I don't really like that, because if I was an inmate, then I'd have to go back to my cell, biting my nails, wondering if I'm going to get it or not. I've seen other parole boards where, they stand in front of 4 people and they choose right then and there, yay or nay. Those are the ones I like, right? Just give it to me raw. Save me that emotional roller coaster waiting in a cell. Either way, this could be better in some situations, I guess.
Are there any errors or inaccuracies you'd like to discuss in that packet before we proceed?
I mean, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there probably is, but none that I want to discuss.
Okay.
Parole denied. I'm just playing, man, but I'm not gonna lie, that laugh was very creepy. And that hypersensitivity mic they got don't help nothing. Made him sound like a maniac.
I mean, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there probably is, but none that I want to discuss.
Okay. If something comes to mind, that's really the main purpose of why we're here. I've reviewed your file. I have a detailed report prepared. But, part of today's hearing is to allow you to speak and to voice things from your perspective. So since returning from your most recent parole, I think the board has granted and then rescinded 3 paroles. You're familiar with.
All right, so you heard what he said. He had 1 parole hearing where he was granted and 3 where he was denied. Also, he said that he has all these pending charges from within prison. Yes, believe it or not, in prison you can get charged with multiple kind of infractions, even street charges. And both of them, even though one doesn't result usually in getting more time, more along the lines of going to the hole and getting your canteen taken, it doesn't matter. Both types of misbehavior, guaranteed, you best believe, will be brought up in your parole hearing.
What happened in each of those cases. Since the most recent hearing, it was in May of 2024. I think there's 4 incidents leading to disciplinary convictions. And then last time I checked, I believe yesterday afternoon, 3 were pending. So the criminal charge, assault by peace officer related to the July 5th, 2024 incident, that's pending in case 2419-10862. What's that?
Which, the write-up was actually dismissed.
Yeah, so it shows as a conviction on my end. I can double check and look and see if something wasn't
There was a
triggered over.
conviction
It
of
shows as a conviction.
a disorderly conduct.
So I show an A21 assault against correctional officer, B13 disorderly conduct, reckless endangerment.
Oh man, everything's going downhill. Nothing's looking good for this individual. I'll tell you that right now.
I'll check. I'll go look at the IDHO information. If that has indeed been dismissed, I'll change it so the board has accurate information. Is that okay with you?
Yes, the A21 was dismissed. The B13 I pled guilty to.
Okay. Well, I'm also going to recommend the board take judicial notice of that pending case 2419-10862, the misdemeanor A assault on a peace officer. Due to the pending case, I'm not going to ask you any questions.
Flabbergasting to me.
What's that?
And this is why I don't.
Flabbergasted.
It's absolutely flabbergasting to me, the whole situation. And conveniently, this officer was not wearing a body camera during the time of a verbal exchange, which he claims at which time I threatened his life and his family. And yet this gentleman was provocative, even to the point of providing his full name, Daniel Wallens the First, right? So it is very convenient this gentleman was not wearing a body camera. And again, this write-up was dismissed. Honestly, I find this to be absolutely ridiculous.
This guy, if I were to bet it all, man, my whole life savings, he's definitely not getting parole.
But I've been down 21 months on technical violations, disciplinaries, and misdemeanor infractions. So if I was anybody else in the entire world, I would be free. Let's just go ahead and say that outright. And that essentially the problems I've had in the last 2 years have stemmed from being incarcerated. And that the reason I'm incarcerated is because I called for help for somebody who has overdosed, which is a mistake I will never make again in life. I will never call for help for anybody. I will never call the police again in life for any reason. Because regardless of the situation, I can see that I'm going to be the bad guy. And, the things I've done in 5 years, 6 years, that would be mitigating or beneficial, I don't feel they get acknowledged in any way by the Board of Pardons. So I'm kind of at this point of just not caring.
What are the mitigating factors in your opinion, so I can put them in my report?
Got out of a gang, got a law degree, went to therapy, have provided the Board of Pardons both drug and alcohol and mental health assessments. Numerous things. Work.
You have a law degree? You got a law degree in the prison, or was that on parole?
In the prison.
In the prison.
I got a degree, but on my own dime through correspondence.
Okay.
Unbelievable, right? If it's true, he's an ex-con. This is my first time ever seeing or hearing anything about him, but for some reason I'm believing him. This guy's a fucking attorney now, and he's had enough. He's done everything he could possibly do, from what I'm hearing, to prove to the parole board that he's ready to go home. But being in prison, in jail, you heard what he said. He left a gang. Probably has all the tattoos of that organization still on him. Of course, he's going to be getting into situations. But just by him mentioning one of the first things he said as a mitigating factor in his book would be, number one, I left a gang. And if you were to ask me, that probably is the most important thing of the list. Because when you turn away from stuff like that, man, you could die.
And sorry to cut you off. If you'd like to add more.
I'm just saying, despite the fact that it took me 6 years to get off gang file. I left my gang, got off gang file. The board still comes at me with gang paroles. To me, that's not acknowledging any kind of progress. To me, that's the opposite. To me, that's saying your progress doesn't matter and the things you do don't matter. I've provided evidence that I was receiving MAT treatment and going to therapy on the street, substance abuse therapy. And yet I don't see any recognition of that. I have not felt any recognition from the board. In fact, I don't feel like I've received recognition from the board over basic human matters. I feel like calling the board hypocrites right now, because the board asks that people have empathy, right? That's a huge thing, is empathy for other people. And yet in my time of need, when I lost a child and a significant other of 8 years, someone who'd overdosed in my lap, I've been down 21 months. I haven't had a chance to grieve. You know, I've got all this unprocessed grief and anger over this whole situation that has not been acknowledged in any way. And to me, that is a total lack of empathy. You would only treat a monster like that. You would only not acknowledge the death of someone's family member, that a child and their wife. It's beyond monstrous not to acknowledge that. And it's certainly a lack of empathy. And I'm at this place now where I am kind of just like, whatever. And the board are masters of making mountains out of molehills, because it's clear and obvious the law enforcement community doesn't want me on the street due to my past criminal history. And, okay, I'm not following all the rules. I'm making minor mischief.
You know, even though I do believe a few things that he's saying, still I don't think he's speaking to this parole guy the right way. Now he's just straight up insulting the parole board, saying that they're beyond monstrous and have no empathy whatsoever. Don't get it twisted though, it could work, like some reverse psychology type of stuff, right? I've seen crazier, man, you have no idea.
Again, technical violations, disciplinary infractions, and misdemeanors have been the total of what has kept me incarcerated for the last 2 years.
We are at this point out of time. I do want to quickly note, I'm going to recommend the board take judicial notice of pending case 2419-10862.
Of course it will.
We didn't talk about there's also a June 11th, 2024 B13 disorderly, June 19th, 2024 B16 tattooing, then a June 29th, 2024 BO2 fighting assault. Those were the convictions. There's a pending incident from August 25th, 2024, and a pending incident from September 3rd, 2024. At this point, what I'm going to do is take your case under advisement.
Covering my window and refusing a urinalysis are the pending ones. Yeah.
Yeah, the one says
I did it.
The other covered window and cell. Looks like the CERT team responded because you refused an order. A search was conducted after that. There was the fighting. It looks like you were seen on camera punching another inmate in the main yard. The B16 tattooing, the officer walked past the cell. You and another inmate were tattooing at that time. The disorderly is actually very similar in nature to the pending criminal charge, so I won't bring that up with you as well. Depending on the outcome, the board would take appropriate action that could be set an original hearing. If Board of Pardons jurisdiction results, they could reach the disposition or the release decision. If no jurisdiction results, they could also schedule another hearing to talk about further issues if they'd like to. Anything else quickly you'd like to mention before we conclude?
Yeah, I wonder if giving me more time was a death sentence, if the Board of Pardons would care. I don't think they would. Have a great day.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and conclude today.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What you do in prison will definitely have an impact on your parole hearing. I don't know what happened with this individual, but like I said, if I were to guess, he was definitely denied. He just had too many infractions going on, too many questions. He has a bunch of pending cases, but look, I'm here to tell you, I've had correctional officers lie through their teeth and on paper about things that I've done. I've had one correctional officer say that I threatened their life. They threw me in the hole until I was transferred to another prison. And I 100% honestly didn't threaten nobody's life in no way, shape, or form. So I know how things can escalate, but at the same time, tattooing, not showing up for your analysis in prison, blocking your window. You heard what he said, yeah. There ain't no denying that. I was doing those things. Well, those little things, well, some of them aren't little. Denying a urinalysis in prison is a major infraction. Probably worse than getting a dirty. So these aren't all just minor things, even though he has a lot of them as well. It doesn't matter. When they put it all together, the parole board's going to say this guy's got way too much going on. But like I said in the video, he did drop out of a gang. This is the thing with that type of stuff, though. A lot of individuals, they become no good by their own gang. And a lot of times those guys that were forced out by their own people will go into the courtroom saying, yeah, I decided to leave on my own accord because I wanted to change my life, when that really wasn't the case. Your own people wanted you dead, that's why. And now you're trying to ride the good side of the law. Get paroled, become that square you never dreamed of. Right? It's a very tricky game in prison, but one thing I've realized across the board is the majority of people in it only care about their self. No matter if they're part of a gang or not. When it comes down to it, the majority of people are going to make sure that their ends are checked, and that's it. But I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned a little bit more about parole hearings. Remember to go check out the link in the description of this video. It'll have the original clip, and at the end of it, the host gives a little more in-depth detail on this guy's background. You ain't gonna believe it. As a matter of fact, he was actually paroled once, remember? Well, that was after he stabbed a cellmate of his 25 times. But his cellmate had some extremely bad paperwork, not to mention he was a part of the same gang as him. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because he got paroled, even after something like that. Never count yourself out, anything's possible. But stay tuned, I got plenty more content coming your way. In the meantime though, as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.